I want to get discussion on this. This is a question from our mailbag this week. Okay, and I want to see what everybody's opinion is on this because I'm thinking that everybody's going to kind of be in the same boat. It's from P. Alberto Sanchez, and the subject is Sami Zayn confronts homophobic dude. It's like, hey guys, over the weekend, Sami Zayn confronted a dude who was apparently throwing homophobic slurs. Given the belief that heels need to be heels and have heat, is this the sort of thing that's okay in terms of breaking kayfabe? P. Alberto Sanchez. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I think I saw a tweet or something about that, yeah.
All right, so Sammy, I guess a guy called him the F-A-G-G-O-T word, right? And he, went off on the guy. And I'm like, bro, it's like, I'm from a culture of professional wrestling where you did not care what the fans said. And the fans were getting on you, and, if you had done your job well enough to where they're literally using slurs against you and stuff and all that, it's like, I would look at it as a badge of honor. I got this person so mad at me. He's calling me a gay and stuff, and at that reside stuff, and I would say something back to them.
Yeah.
It's like the funny thing now is it's like we're in a culture of professional wrestling where the fans at the event and the wrestlers are like, there's like a code of conduct now, and the code of conduct doesn't involve like a lot of heat. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the wrestling fans, they applaud and stuff. You can just boo. You can't really be personal attacks against the wrestlers because it's funny that professional wrestlers today are literally getting offended at fans' comments. And I was like, if you did that back in the day, you might get fired. And it's like it's changed. I'm like,
that is very true. What do you think about that?
I think you got to have a thick skin if you want to be any kind of performer, whether you're an actor or a singer or a guitarist. Anytime you're up on a stage, I think you're at the mercy of the people, and I think the people are your feedback system, and they're going to give you the information you need to, whether it's to become a better performer or to control their emotions or what have you. If you take away that ability to interact, you're just going to lose control over your crowd, and eventually you're not going to get any kind of reaction you want. So I think policing the narrative and what the fans can and can't do is definitely something in the newer age of things that I don't necessarily agree with. But at the same time, I'm not coming from a place that of a minority, so I can understand how hard it must be to deal with that. But Sami Zayn, he's a professional, he's a performer. If it's up to him and he wants to call out somebody for doing a certain word or whatever, that's on him. But as a performer, I wouldn't want to break down that. I wouldn't break the fourth wall for that specifically,
Well, not only that, here's the other thing.
Unless it was completely apparent that somebody, maybe in the audience or somebody was being harassed or bullied, that, if it was directed at me, I'm in my own zone when I'm wrestling. I'm not a person. I'm not a human being. I'm a professional wrestler. So if I was having anything directed at me, I would remain in character 100%.
Well,
Brian, here's real quick. But here's the thing: the guy if Sami Zayn isn't a homosexual, why is that offending him?
Yeah, I guess it's just the use of the word. I guess so other people are hearing it and maybe being offended by it. But like I said, because I'm not a homosexual either. If I was a wrestler that was a homosexual and then they yelled at me, I might have an emotional reaction to it.
Right.
So I could see where. But yes, as Sami Zayn, he might just be, virtue signaling himself, pulling that off to kind of say, hey, because it's, I support LGBT, and obviously it makes a headline for him too. So it could have been a selfish move on his part to kind of put himself over. If you look that deep into it, might not have even been that deep. It might have just been him calling somebody out.
Right. You just never know nowadays. What were you gonna say? I interrupted you, dude.
No. That's the thing. It's like, the virtual signature is the perfect thing. There's brothers. This is the thing. It's like, when you're out there performing and you're breaking character, sometimes because fans are getting under your. It's like, the job of you're supposed to get under the fan skin to where they're saying things that you would have act like they'd get under your skin. You know what I'm saying? You get a bigger pop that way from the crowd, but calling out one fan to me is, I'm just like. Come on, bro. It's like if you don't understand that you're going to perform in front of tens of hundreds of thousands of people over a calendar year, that there's going to be some assholes in the crowd, and if you can't comprehend that and think that I'm going to, that you're selling for one of them, which is probably going to be so few and far between. It's like, bro, come on. That shows. It's like we talked about. that shows to me, it's like, do you really have that mindset to be a star if that's bothering you that much?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, thick skin is important in this business. And there's too many wrestlers today that just show that they do not have thick skin. You know, guys, girls, and stuff that you see on Twitter, and I'm like, dude, this is not good for the culture of this business. To tell fans that we're professional athletes that are, you know, simulating fights, and we're getting bothered at words from people.
Yeah.
You know, that's not good for the future of this business. It's like we need to like start selling more of a old school toughness and thick skin and masculinity to this product.
Yeah, and if you preach that type of stuff, you're an asshole. But I totally agree with you. I think we've lost a lot of what makes us, you know, go from young men to being a man and being able to handle those social situations without breaking down or without forgetting that we're on the clock. You know, we're doing our job. You know, if somebody starts calling me and I'm working at Starbucks, I don't just like stop my job. You know, I maybe ask to have them removed. You know, hey sir, you know, I might have to call the police or something. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like, do your job and do it well. And if people are reacting, that's a good thing, right? If people are saying things and getting riled up, the problem is people used to have were their emotions and their bodies, and they would go to shows and they would let themselves go and they would feel that sense of freedom that they can cheer and they can yell. But now you have crowds that aren't as loud and rambunctious and excited about wrestling because they are sort of inner sheltered and they don't want to express themselves, or, I don't want to cheer for this person, or maybe these other people in line might not like me, you know. So we have a very reserved culture, you know, and especially that's due to everything being recorded, everything being online. You know, people are just afraid to kind of let loose. Where back in the day, people were jumping up and screaming and boo and this, and the emotions were running, you know.
Yeah. That's very good. I like hearing that perspective from somebody your age. But I just think, to me, it's so weird, Brian. It's almost like if you went to a play and you're watching Julius Caesar, right? And then Brutus comes out, you know, and he's the heel. Some guy in the fucking crowd goes, "You're a dick, Brutus," and the actor turns around and goes, "So are you," or some shit like that. You're not supposed to break character, you know, We're out there, and I don't give a fuck what like, I'm a heel in Mexico, and Disco went to Impact, and he was just basically like really easy shit, like kind of bearing Tessa Blanchard, you know, like bearing women's wrestling.
Yeah.
And the people were like, "Fuck you, Disco!" Like they were really getting animated.
Yeah, that's a real story. Yeah, that's a very real reaction that we want to get, that we can get on film and produce a show that's based on real emotion. You know, but people just forget that.
I just think it's weird, Brian, that here you are trying to work the people into getting mad, right? Because Sami Zayn is a heel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And he was bearing the people for a while, remember? He was always bearing the people. Thanks to you people. That's why wrestling sucks. So you finally got under their skin. Now a guy tells you something, and now you're going to go back at him. I just think that's very counterproductive. Just ignore the motherfucker. I think he made a bigger deal. Yeah, right.
You're losing the heat. And then, bro, this is a formula in professional wrestling that we've kind of lost. Is that, you know, these days the way we promote wrestling is like, hey, this is going to be a great match. You know, these guys will have a great match. These guys are like, I'd love to work this guy to be a great match. Hey, let's put it on TV. It'd be a great match. It's like, bro, there's no heat there. You know, and then the wrestling still, I'm sorry, it's like, regardless, like, you know, the way that people try to talk about it's art, it's, you know, stuff that's performed, but like still, the premise is built on a good guy versus a bad guy to fight, and the fans are supposed to want to cheer the bad guy on to beat up cheer the good guy on to beat up the bad guy. You know, and then so if you don't have anybody trying to be a bad guy, and in these days it's hard to be. It's people are scared to be a bad guy because they think people are really mad at them for real. And it's like, you know, dude, it's like you have to work harder today to be a heel, but it can be done. Just don't worry about what people think of you. Know, don't worry about people saying that.
Literally,
but you need heat. Yeah, you need heat in this business, and it's like we're seeing the absence of it. And like, you know, and keep people that are even doing it right. We're seeing situations like this. It's like, dude, what are you doing? It's like I see so many errors being made with the heels where they're just not embracing it, being disliked on a regular basis. And you look at a couple guys that are doing it right these days, it's like Jericho and like MJF and stuff. They're just doing it right because they're disliked, and that's like, that's good, you know. So it's like
I can't put Max over enough. You know, he's doing the proper way to do it. He's doing it in a modern setting. He's doing it on social media. where people think they're safe. People think they're safe from all that heat on social media, and he's bringing it with him. He's taking it with him everywhere he goes. So he's wearing it on his chest, and I have nothing but respect for him for doing that, because it is, it's a hard line to tread. At what point does he say something that gets him, blacklisted from the internet, or canceled, or this, that, or the other? And at what point do you put a disclaimer in your Twitter profile that says, all right, all my tweets are in character, anything else cannot be, considered,
right.
Like at what point do you start putting legal disclaimers in your stuff? Because, the fans, they want to believe up until they don't like what they see, and then they don't, now it's fake,
They want to find something to get you in trouble for.
Yeah. They're always looking
they think that it's because this is the thing the fans have over it. They think that if you do something, the way for them to get back at you is to try to get you kicked off Twitter or muted or stuff like point out something that you did out of context. They're trying to get you in trouble. And like it used to be, they would just yell at you.
Remember that time in 2007? Yeah. You said this on Facebook, and it's like, that's my biggest fear, is that maybe some mistake or something foolish I said in high school was going to come back to bite me in my professional life, when I'm simply just trying to improve and become a better person every day. Some people, and it's funny because half the people that are on there are sinners themselves, and they're just projecting their own insecurities onto these pro wrestlers, because these pro wrestlers are, people that are successful or want to be treated like stars,
Well, that's one thing I've always said, is that if you want to judge people by everything that's come out of their mouth since birth, and go back in 15 years and things they said and stuff, as if you want to judge people like that, it's like, look in the mirror and judge that person first. Yeah. And we'll see if that person's even fit to judge others. Yeah, what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of hypocrites out there that have a voice, and we don't really know much about them. But we were talking about this the other day. It's like, I don't think I tweeted anything years and years and years ago that people can go back that was like any racially offensive or anything that would get me kicked off Twitter, right? But we've discussed this before. It's like, I'm wondering if I'm tweeting stuff now that's accepted by this group of people, because there was a lot of stuff that was acceptable back then, right? I said, so here's my one thing. I'm like, you can't call somebody quote unquote retarded anymore. That's like an offensive thing. You just don't use that word, right? But bro, it's like moron, imbecile, and idiot are all three qualifications of mental retardation. If you're a moron, your IQ is 50 to 75. If you're an imbecile, it's 25 to 50. If you're an idiot, it's 0 to 25, right? And how many times?
These are the real.
Yeah, this goes in.
Okay, that's what it is. Oh. Okay, well, so
I gotta know which one I'm using now.
I'm just wondering if those words are going to get blacklisted eventually, and 10 years from now, people are going to look back and say, "Oh my God, look how insensitive, or you were calling people idiots all the time on Twitter."
Yeah, sorry, that's my favorite word.
So we've been sitting there wondering, it's like, bro, should we just wipe our Twitter now? Like, should I wipe my Twitter clean and just start?
Should we just never talk again?
Yeah, I know. So it's like it's kind of weird,
Well, I think everything goes in cycles, and eventually I think there'll be a sort of a trend, backwards into a more of an edgier kind of, place where people can kind of speak more on it. But you never know; it might get more and more policed as time goes on. It might be an eventual infinity, continuum of getting more and more PG.